This is episode 2 of the silent genocide that is happening within the regions of northern Uganda. One thing I'm pretty sure about, that all the Gen Zs, those born between 1995, actually those born from 1990 up to date, are not conversant about what I'm reading right now. I'm pretty sure we've heard about these stories. We've heard rumors about the concentration camps, but we didn't dig deep to exactly what transpired from 20 years ever since this government came in power. We didn't get to follow up the stories that were written by Dr. Milton Obote. We didn't pick interest in completely getting to understand what transpired in these concentration camps. You and me are completely lucky. So do one thing for me. Pass on this information to our dear brothers and sisters living within the regions of northern Uganda, because I'm completely sure those below the age of 30 have simply had rumors but have not been exactly explained in details what exactly transpired or what happened to their four grandfathers and grandmothers, the fathers and the mothers that committed suicide in these concentration camps. Let's have episode 2. Olalo Tunu continued and said, access to latrines is abominable. A recent survey found out that 85% of the camp population in Gulu district did not have access to latrine. The minimum requirements for such an emergency situation is one toilet for 20 adults and one toilet for 10 children. In Otuboy camp, there is one latrine for 1,566 persons. This translates on an average into access of 30 seconds per person per day in a camp such as Olum and Rugoro. The situation is worse. Over 4,000 persons share one latrine. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not myth. This happened in the region of northern Uganda. Olalo Tunu continues and says, access to water is equally shocking. 2,500 to 3,000 persons share a water source. It takes 4 to 6 hours. That's about 12 hours of waiting in a line to collect water. The standard waiting time in such emergencies should be 15 minutes. The camps are over-congested. A family of 6 to 8 persons have to pack themselves sardine-like into a tiny han of 4.5 square meters. The minimum standard for such emergencies is 3.5 square meters per person. And contrary to the traditional culture, 3 generations of a family, parents, children, and grandparents, are all forced to share the same living space with loss of all privacy and dignity. Olalo Tunu continued and said, 2 generations of children have been denied education, and as a matter of the government policy, they have been deliberately condemned to a life of darkness and ignorance, deprived of all hope and opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what is happening, or is what happened in the regions of northern Uganda. This was completely a genocide. Olalo Tunu continues and says, in a society renowned for its deep-rooted and rich culture, value system, and the family structure, these have all been destroyed under the conditions imposed in the camps. This loss is colossal and virtually irreparable. It signals the death of a people and their complete civilization. Among the population in the concentration camps, 85% suffer from severe trauma and depression. In the face of relentless culture and personal humiliation and abuse, suicide has risen to unprecedented levels. Suicide is highest among the mothers who feel utter despair at the inability to provide for their children or save them from starvation and death from preventable diseases. As several reports have documented, rape and generalized sexual exploitation, especially by the government soldiers, both those stationed in the camps and those that do the mobile unity, have become entirely normal. The soldiers feel entitled to take any woman or child or girl child and do anything they want with her, with complete impunity, as noted in the recent report by the Human Rights Watch. Women in a number of camps told the Human Rights Watch how they had been raped by soldiers from the Ugandan army. It is exceptionally difficult for a woman to find protection from sexual abuse by the very government soldiers. Olalo Tunu continued and said, ladies and gentlemen, listen to this part carefully. Olalo Tunu said, in Uganda, HIV/AIDS is being used as a deliberate weapon of mass destruction. Government soldiers are screened, and those who have been tested HIV positive are then especially deployed to the north with the mission to commit maximum havoc on the local girls and women. Thus, from almost zero base, the rate of HIV infection among these rural communities has grappled to staggering levels. A recent survey found out that 30% infections in the Kitgum district, compared with the national level of 5% last June. This is 2006. The medical superintendent of Gulu Hospital reported that 27% of the children who were tested were found to be HIV positive. 40% of the pregnant women attending Lacha Hospital for the routine maternity visit test HIV positive or tested HIV positive. It is instructive to note that although they are in the greatest need, the facilities and the programs under the Global Fund for distribution of antiretroviral drugs or ARVs have not been made available to the populations in the camps. All this, even as officials propagandas tout Uganda's experience as the model for the fight against HIV/AIDS. As we continue, ladies and gentlemen, we shall have episode 3 from there. But listen in. According to Olalo Tunu, as I finalize this episode, the government of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni made HIV a weapon to destroy a generation in northern Uganda simply because he fought against Obote in 1986. Museveni, are you a Ugandan? What human can do this to kids, to girls? No wonder why the people in northern Uganda are a bit scared till today. The trauma in their heads can never heal. But I can say authoritatively on this video that Museveni and your regime, you will never be forgiven. Episode 3 will be coming.